Okay guys, welcome back. So we are supposed to start with genetic and variation. Genetic and variation. Now before we go into what this topic means properly, let's try to split them. Genetic and variation. Genetic standing on its own, variation standing on its own. Variation means that the differences, right? The differences that exist. Even if you have identical twins, they are still not the same thing. They are different. Then, if you talk about genetics now, it is a branch of science that deals with inheritance. Why do we look so much alike? Why do I look like my parents? Why don't I look like my daddy, but I look like my mommy? How come the baby of a dog will always be a dog? All those things are what genetics try to explain. And I've explained variation that the differences between all those things. Okay, so it answers the questions of why the offspring resemble the parent or not. Every organism has what we call chromosomes. Yes, every organism has what we call chromosomes, which drive inheritance and heredity in them. For example, human beings, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Now, what do I mean by 23 pairs? It means we have 1, 1, 2, 2, we have 3, 3, 4, 4, let me jump, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23. A normal human being should have all of this. Please stay with me. A normal human being should have all of this. There are some chromosomal abnormalities. We talk about that, but I'm not so sure yet. Okay, now look at this 23. This number 21, number 1 to number 22, they are known, these guys are known as the autosomes. I hope you guys are staying with me. Is that how you call them autosomes or you call them the somatic cells? Because these guys are the body chromosome. I hope you are with me. They are the body chromosome. They code for your color, they code for height, they code for your complexion, they code for the way you talk, they code for intelligence, they code for the kind of eyeballs you have, they code for whether you're going to have dimples or not, they code for if you are going to be smart or not, they code for your hair, they code for either you're going to be dark in complexion or fair. Chromosome number 1 to 22, they code for it. But this last one here, chromosome 23, these are known as the sex cells. These guys decide if you're going to be a man, a woman, you should be a girl or a boy. So 23 rather can change. It can be XX in like the way it can be. Every woman would always have X and X as their 23rd chromosome. And every man will have X and Y as their 23rd chromosome. But all of us have chromosome 1 to 22 the same way. Now let's go further. Let's leave this. We're coming back to it. Okay. For reproduction to take place, the parent organism must produce a gamete which contains half the chromosomal number there. Okay. So like when I say parent organism now, take for instance if this guy is a parent, alright, and it's going to produce gamete. Now a gamete now is also known as the sex cell. The sex cell is also known as either as a sperm cell or the egg cell. So it's not going to be 46. So it's going to be half. Based on what I said, it's going to be half. So the sex cell can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 22, 21, and what? X or Y. So obviously this is coming from the father because the mother does not have Y, she only has X. So it can also be X or X depending on who is donating it. So this person here that's having X or X is definitely coming from the mother. Alright, let me give you a hint. So based on that, it shows that the gender of the child is being determined by the father and not the mother, because the mother does not have X. She doesn't have Y. It's only X or X that she can give. But the man can give X and can give Y. Okay, so now let's keep that. So this is a gamete, right? It is having half of what is in the body of the parent organism. So it's having 23. So let's say this guy now, because it's X, is the egg cell, right? And the sperm cell now, which is the other gamete, please keep this at the back of your mind. When you hear gamete, when you hear sex cell, they are the same thing. Gamete, sex cell, they are the same thing. I hope you guys are with me. Please don't be confused. Gamete, sex cell, they are the same thing. Gamete, sex cell, egg or sperm, all of them are the same thing, and they are all haploid in nature. Keep that. I've not explained haploid. I'm coming there. Okay, so let's move on. I said for reproduction to take place, the parent organism must produce a gamete which contains half the chromosomal number in them. For instance, the gamete of human beings contain 23. Gamete, please. The gamete of a dog would contain 78 divided by 2, because dog has 78 chromosomes. That is a dog that is not dividing, a dog that is not producing gamete, a dog that is not going through the process of reproduction. We definitely have 78. But if the dog is now going into the stage of reproduction now, that 78 we have to split into 2 so that half can be the gamete. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so terminologies in genetics. We have what we call dominant traits. Please share with me. I'm sure all of you must have discovered that you look like one of your parents more than the other. Let's take for instance for height, I resemble my mother. Are you getting my point now? Then for skin complexion, I look like my dad. For intelligence, I look like this person. Are you getting my point now? For that, you look like this. For the dimples I have, I look like this. It shows that what you have, are you still with me, please? What you have, that trait that is being expressed in you is more powerful than the one that is not expressed. Now, let's look at this. If this is coming from the father, right? Obviously, it's going to have X and Y. And this is coming from the mom. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 chromosome 1, chromosome 2. Let me give you a link before I proceed. Look at this chromosome 21. This is what is causing Down syndrome. Are you getting me now? Every human being should have more than 2. You should have only 2. 1 from the father, 1 from the mother. Chromosome 1 from dad, 1 from mom, 2 from dad, 2 from mom, 3 from dad, 3 from mom. Are you getting me now? But this chromosome 21, it is possible that a child can have 3. So when a child is having 21, 21, 21, that child will definitely have Down syndrome. Please keep that. It comes out in JAMB. Chromosome 21 causes Down syndrome. Okay, then let's move on. So we have 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, of course. Since this is father, this will be mother, X and X, right? Okay, so if the man is going, like 2 of them now have been legally joined together. Are you getting me now? So they have been engaged in holy solemnization. Then the father and the mother, this guy now, have decided to donate this part. So it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 21, 22, and X. Obviously, that child will definitely be a girl because the mother cannot change the gender of the child. Okay, so now this guy will also give this. So let's say this chromosome 1 now is calling for height. If this guy, this man is very tall and this woman is very short, right? I'm trying to explain this dominant trait here. I said it is a trait that expresses itself according to Mendelian inheritance, please. Mendelian inheritance. Now, Mendelian is from the name of the guy who came forward with this idea of inheritance. His full name is Gregor Mendel. He worked with the pea plant. Okay, now, it is always noted by a capital letter. The dominant trait is written in capital. So when you have a genotype like this, A, or A, and you have a small a, it means the capital A is more powerful than the small a. Are you getting my point? So if this capital A is coming from this man and is very short, and the small a is coming from this woman and is also very tall, forget it, that baby will still be short. Because the capital A is what? Is short and is more powerful. So this small a, which is coding for tallness will not be expressed. It's going to be quiet, even though that child has it. Are you still with me? Even though the child has it, but it's not going to express itself. That is dominant trait. Okay, now, if this guy, the capital A is dominant, obviously the small a is recessive. The recessive trait is the bullish trait. Is the one that is quiet. Is the one that doesn't express itself. Even though it is present, but it doesn't talk, it doesn't shout. You don't see it in it. Okay, now let's move on. Recessive trait. The trait that is masked or silenced according to Mendelian inheritance. It is always noted by a small letter. Then the next one that we'll talk about, please, most biology students do not really understand the meaning of allele. Yes, I'm very sure of that. They don't know the meaning of allele because allele is not as popular as dominant that we know. It's not as popular as recessive that we know. Now, allele is an alternative form of a gene. Now, for example, A in AA. Now, please stay with me. A in AA. My blood group or my genotype rather is AA, right? So this A here is an allele, and this other A is also an allele. Are you with me, please? So if I have A here and I have A here, remember that they are not the same thing. One is capital, one is small, which means that this is dominant, this is recessive. This is what will be expressed, right? This will not be expressed. Then this is also an allele, and this is also an allele. Are you there? Okay, let's move on. Okay, now the next one is homozygous. Please look at the board and stay with me. If you look at this, when I said homozygous, like I told you earlier, biology is the simplest subject that you can do. Why? It has big terminologies, right? But you can split them. You can break them into pieces, cut them into their root words. Homo, the same. Zygous is from the word zygote. Are you getting my point now? Remember that when this gamete and gamete come together, zygote will result from that union. Are you getting my point now? So if this man has donated this A and this woman has given this A to this becomes a zygote that will now grow to become the baby that will be delivered. Okay, so when you say homozygous, it means that they are both the same thing. Look at this guy. This is capital A and small a, right? This is not homozygous because they are not the same thing. They are not the same thing. But this is homozygous. They are the same thing. Now let me give you an instance. Let me explain what I've been trying to demonstrate to you. Okay. When you have, there's something we have in biology. We call it traits. Another word for traits can be like characters. Okay. Now, height is a trait. But remember that under this height, we have two characters. It can either be tall or short. So if I'm saying that I'm inheriting a trait from my mother or from my parents, I can either inherit this or this. So if my father is giving this, obviously it's going to be tall. And my mother is giving this. If I have the two of them together, what I have with me is not homozygous, it is what? Heterozygous. Because the zygotes are not the same thing. But if my father is this tall and is giving me that tallness too, and my mother is also tall and she's also giving me what? The tallness. So this is going to be capital A and this one will be capital A. So I'm going to have this. So what I have with me is homozygous because my zygotes are the same thing. I'm not so sure if you guys are following. Okay, then if I have this is what? Heterozygous because they are not the same. Their alleles are different. Remember, this is an allele, this is an allele, this is an allele, this is an allele, but the alleles here are not the same thing. But these guys, they are the same thing. Can I move on, please? Okay, thank you. Now let's move on, please. I said homozygous. These are called when the two alleles are the same. For example, AA, AS, SS. Please don't be confused. It can either be homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive. Remember I told you that the capital letter in genetics will denote recessive trait. So homozygous recessive. Then we also have heterozygous. Okay guys, let's just go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue from this place.